Good morning, everyone. I wanted to take a minute to go over the differences between all of the versions of the Transient. Here we have the V1, the V2, and the V3. I began making the V1 in 2017 as a frame lock. This knife featured fully contoured scales, a frame lock locking mechanism, as well as a bent hybrid style clip. And this actually is the diet version, which had 1/8 inch thick frames as opposed to 5/32. One of the major changes that I made from the V1 to the V2 revolved around an issue that I discovered when I made the diet Transient, which was that I did not have adequate access to the lock to disengage it because of the extremely deep lead-ins here for window access. So when I switched from the V1 to the V2, the first thing that I did actually was remove those lead-ins in order to allow better access to the locking mechanism itself. I also relieved the scale here. I made this cutout a little bit bigger. You can see it's a smaller radius here. And what that did was it allowed for more access to the lock bar on this side. I also added pretty gracious chamfer on the inside of the lock bar itself, both on the frame lock and the subliner, which is something you see here. The subliner locking mechanism was something that I introduced in the V2. It's a fully inset liner that is pocketed inside of the frame so that you're not increasing the thickness of the knife overall, but you get the benefits of a concealed locking mechanism. One of the major issues with the frame lock was when people would fire it, they would put pressure on the lock bar and they had an issue deploying it, so the subliner was born. Aside from the cutout here and the removal of the lead-in ramps, I also for the first time released the V2 in a thumb stud variant, and I changed the clip configuration so that the clip was actually integrated with a backspacer screw, whereas on the V1 you can see it had its own screw. Other than that, the V2 retained the same shape of the handle and the blade from the V1. In the fall of 2024, I released the V3. The V3 saw the return of the lead-ins to the window and thumb stud area. It was an aesthetic feature that I really cared for. It's not as aggressive as it was on the V1, but it's still there. I also reintroduced the shark fin milled feature here, which was something I did selectively on some V1s and never on a V2. I had to adjust the shape of the liner insert in order to allow for this relief to exist up here. Another thing that I did was I removed the additional cutaway that the V2 had on the show side, and I made the frames symmetrical once again. In order to compensate for the lack of access created from removing that, I actually increased the size of the chamfers on the inside of the frame on both sides, allowing you more ease of getting your fingers in there. Another change that I made on the V3 was I changed the profile of the butt. Here you can see there was an indentation, which also existed on the V1. I rounded the frame there in order to conceal the tip more effectively. You can see here, this is the skeletonized variation with 5 pockets. The V2 skeletonized version only had 4 pockets, but I opted for 5 because I just liked the aesthetic change. Other than that, the blade shape remained unchanged and the function of the knife stayed the same. So those are the differences between the V1, the V2, and the V3. I'm very happy with the current iteration of the V3, and at this point, I don't see anything else that I would like to change in a V4, but that may change, you never know. For now, this is the lineup. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear me out, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.